Okay, so today we'll finish up our material for the week. Okay, we're going to finish up with section 2.3. We're still going to be solving inequalities. But what do you think is going to be the difference with the two operations we used today? Yesterday we did addition and subtraction. What do you think we're going to do today? Yep, Dan?
Multiplication and division.
Exactly, we're going to use multiplication and division. So this part, you guys don't have to write down. Just a reminder, if you multiply one side of an equation by a number, what else do you have to do? Joe?
The other side?
Yes, you're going to multiply the other side. Good. Okay. That property still works with inequalities. If you multiply one side of an inequality by a number, you have to do it on the other side. But I'm going to show you, or we're both going to show you something you're going to keep track of. Okay, let's look at this. So you guys have this chart already printed, some of it. Okay, we're going to fill in the column that says new inequality, and then I'm going to ask you if you think it's true or you think it's false. All right, so we're starting with the inequality 3 is less than 4. How many people think that's true? 3 is smaller than 4. Anybody think it's false? Okay, good. You're all right. 3 is less than 4. Now, I'm going to take each side of that and multiply it by 5. Noah, what's 3 times 5? 15. So we get 15. And what's 4 times 5? 20. Good. How about Connor? You think 15 is less than 20?
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that's true? Yeah, good job. That's true. So it looks like if we multiply both sides by a number, everything's okay. Let's try this one. Negative 4 is greater than negative 20. Yeah, what do you think about that one? Is that true right now? Negative 4?
Yes, right.
Yeah, negative 4, if you think of it on a number line, negative 4 is to the right of negative 20, so that is true. Now we're going to divide each side by 2. Gemini, what do you get if you divide the left side by 2?
-2.
Yep, you get negative 2. What about if you divide the right side by 2?
-10.
Negative 10. How about Fred? You think negative 2 is bigger than negative 10?
I mean, yeah.
So like on a number line, where would negative 2 be? Would it be to the left of negative 10? Or would it be to the right of it?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It would be to the right.
Yeah, guys, the closer a negative number is to 0, the more value it has. The closer it is to 0, the more value it has.
Okay, so does it look like we're allowed to divide each side by an inequality? And if we started with something true, we'll end up with something true. Does that look okay? What do you think? Yeah, so far it looks okay. Let's try this one. First, let's make sure what we're starting with is true. Sophia, do you think negative 5 is less than negative 3? Yes. Good job. It is less. Now, let's multiply each side by the same thing. Negative 1. Paige, what do you get if you multiply negative 5 by negative 1?
5.
5. And just keep that sign. And Sydney, what do you get if you multiply negative 3 by negative 1?
3.
3. 5 is smaller than 3. What do we think about that one? Is 5 smaller than 3? False, right? Now, did we multiply both sides by the same thing? Yeah, we multiplied both sides by a negative 1. Did we make a mistake? Is negative 5 times negative 1 5, and is negative 3 times negative 1 3? Yeah, so we didn't make a mistake, but something strange happened when we multiplied both sides by a negative. Right? And let's look at this one. Xander, is 18 bigger than negative 6?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, any positive number is always bigger than a negative, right? What do you get if you divide each side by negative 3 here?
You get negative 6 and 2.
Negative 6, and what did you say?
Greater than negative 2.
All right, so we have the sign, we're just copying it over. How many people think -6 is bigger than 2? Is that true?
No, it's not.
No, that's false. So we have a problem here again. Does anybody notice a connection between the 2 that we did before that seemed to work out perfect and the 2 we just did that don't work? Anybody see what these 2 have in common? Yeah?
The new inequality is false, and the other ones were true.
The other ones were true, these are false. And do you see why these are false? What did these 2 problems do that the 2 above it didn't? Look at the operation. See, yeah?
The ones that are true are multiplied or divided by a positive, and the other ones are by a negative.
Exactly. Did everyone hear what Madison just said? Okay, so she said that when you multiplied or divided by a negative, that's when we ran into a problem. Okay? So, from our table, and again, this part, just read over this part. You don't have to write this on your guided notes. But from our table, we just noticed that when you multiplied or divided by a positive, everything was true. Okay, everything worked out fine. But when we multiplied or divided by a negative, what happens then? Okay. What happened when we multiplied or divided by a negative? Did it work the way it should have? No. Okay? So if we multiply or divide both sides by a negative, we got something that was false, and that's not what we want. All right. So on your guided notes, okay, there's a spot where it says multiplication property of inequality.
Have all that.
It says,
I'm gonna write the if part instead.
yep, you guys have to write in the if part.
Yeah.
So multiplying both sides of an inequality by a positive number is okay. You get a true statement. But what do you think I'm going to put here? If you multiply both sides by a, what kind of number? Yeah?
Negative?
Negative, good job.
No.
So if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, what do you think you need to do?
To make the statement true.
Because the way the inequality was pointing, it didn't work. So what could we do with the inequality?
You changed the way the direction of the
You flip
Yes.
it like
Yeah.
a pancake.
Right, you're going to flip it, exactly.
But remember, you're not flipping we're not flipping the whole problem. You're just flipping the sign only.
Exactly,
It's not like we have a variable on the right-hand side, we pancake and bring on the other side. It's the only, when you have this situation, when you multiply or divide by a negative, you're only flipping the sign only. Alright? Only gonna flip the sign only, nothing else.
And you guys saw what happened if you don't flip the sign. In that table, you get a false inequality. False would be equivalent to meaning it's wrong. Okay, we don't want to get it wrong. Does everybody have the statement for the if? Anyone else still copy? All right. So before I show you the division, okay, what did we just say? It's okay if you divide each side by what kind of number?
Negative. Divided by positive.
If you divide by a positive, it's okay. What kind of number do we have a problem with? We got to be careful.
Negative.
Good job, Joe. Negative. So dividing each side of an inequality by a positive, you guys got that already written
Yeah.
down. Hey, Joe, since you told me, you think you could finish what's up there before I show it? If you divide both sides,
By a negative,
what do you have to do?
you need, you wouldn't have to flip. No, you would have to
Keep this up.
keep the sign.
Well,
Would you or-
what did we write for the one above it? If you divide both sides by, or multiply both sides by a negative, what do you need to do?
Flip the inequality.
Flip the inequality.
The sign.
If you divide both sides by a negative,
You just flip it back.
You gotta flip the sign.
It applies to both, guys, it applies both to multiplying and dividing, same rule.
Oh, the first one was.
So if you divide both sides of an inequality by a negative, you have to flip the sign. Okay, flip the inequality. Now, when we did addition and subtraction, was there ever a time where you had to flip besides if the letter was on the wrong side?
Oh, yeah.
Jacob, what do you think? Did we ever have to flip the inequality besides the letter being on the wrong side yesterday?
Do we ever have to, I think what Ms. Hager said, do we ever have to flip the sign?
Oh, yeah, you did.
Just the sign.
Sign only.
Sign only.
No, you also have to sometimes move the numbers and letters.
Sometimes we have to move, so that's what we talked about when you pancake, when you flip it. But did we ever just have to flip the sign only yesterday? No, right, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We never had to flip it. So the two rules we're showing you today about flipping the sign, you never have to do that with the kind of problems we did yesterday. Adding, you don't do it. Subtracting, you don't. Only multiply or divide. Okay, so let's try an example. 7x is less than negative 56. Okay, anyone think they could tell me what operation I have to use? You don't have to tell me anything else yet. Just tell me what operation. Yep.
Division.
Division, I like it. How'd you know it was division?
Because you're multiplying 7 by x, so you do the opposite to both sides.
Exactly. So you always do the opposite operation. So we're going to divide. Anyone else tell me what we're going to divide by? Yeah. Yep.
Positive sign.
Good. Can you just say what you said again one more time?
Positive 7.
Positive 7. Okay, we divided each side by positive 7. When you divide by a positive, Connor, do you flip the sign? No. Good job. So what I'm going to do right away is I'm going to copy that sign down just the way it is so I don't forget. Should I have flipped it or shouldn't I flip it? Will said positive, don't flip it.
But wait, but guys, look at it. I got a negative 56 over here. I got a negative.
So you have to go positive.
No, you don't have to flip it.
Who said I don't have to flip it? Joey said I don't have to flip it? Why?
Because it's still a positive 7 that you're.
Exactly.
Fine.
Don't get tricked by this. What I was telling people earlier today, guys, is if the number, in this case it's a whole number, all right, or sometimes we might get a fraction. If the whole number attached to the variable is positive, all right, then we're dividing by a positive. If the fraction attached to the variable is positive, then it's positive. But if it's negative, like if this was negative 7x, all right, we'd be writing actually divided by a negative. Same thing if it was a fraction. Negative fraction will cause us to flip it. So basically, if the thing attached to the variable is negative, that's when you'll flip your sign. In this case, we don't have to because it's positive.
Okay, so now on the left-hand side, all that I'm left with is x, and what's negative 56 divided by 7? If we need a calculator, we could get it. Negative 8. Okay, so x is less than negative 8. All right, now what do we have to do?
Graph it.
Last thing, graph it. Okay, so number line, I'll set it up. -9, -8, -7. Decide on the circle. What kind of circle do we need here? Yeah, Sydney? Open. I like that, open. And now I gotta decide which way to shade. Which way should I shade, Gemini?
So left.
To the left. Okay, make it left. That's it. Okay, any question on that one? All right. I think we have a 1B. Why don't you guys take maybe a minute and see if you can solve that one. Okay, same idea as the last one, but just be careful. There's something that's going to happen here we mentioned. All right, negative 3x is greater than or equal to 21. Joe, first step.
You divide -3 on both sides.
Divide by -3. Divide by -3. Now, what should I write down right now so I don't forget? What needs to happen? We just divided by -3. Mallory?
We need to switch the sign.
Right, we need to flip the sign. Okay? So what I do is if I multiply or divide by a negative, put it down right away so you don't forget. Xander, what's on the left-hand side now? Z. Just the x. What's 21 divided by -3? What page?
7.
Careful.
Wait, -7.
-7. Okay, so now we've solved it. Let's graph it. Okay, what kind of circle? It's the first time we finally seen this circle, I think, today. Closed circle.
Why is it closed?
Why is it closed?
Oh, I know.
There's the greater than symbol. There's an equal. Like,
Well, it's a
It has
less,
a line or the.
it's a less than,
I mean, oh my.
but there's a line under it.
Leave me alone. I know what you meant.
Okay? Because we put the line under it, that's why you have to shade it in. And now, which way do we shade, Gemini? To the left.
Did I leave a switch? Is there a black switch in these rooms?
It could be over there. Okay, guys, any questions on that one?
On the right?
All right, so Mr. Roy's coming in.
Are you serious? He's coming in.
Sophia, watch it.
No, I didn't mean. I like started and I was like, oh wait.
You're like, oh no.
What's the
Like, I can't believe I just said that.
She said that. Oh God. Sophia's in trouble. No, I didn't mean it like that. Sophia, she took it out of context. Sophia.
Give you guys a second. Give you guys a second to copy this down.
Got it.
Now, should I start right off the bat and just do it? Or should I maybe do something else first?
You should solve.
Why do you say that X?
Because I'm just going with my instincts.
It's going your instincts, okay, man.
Well, you wouldn't. Your instincts are pretty.
I agree we want to pancake it, I agree with it. Alright? And again, like Joe says, well, Mr. Roy, you don't have to pancake it right at the beginning. No, you don't. I like to do it that way because I just think it's get it out of the way early so I don't have to worry about it. But we are going to do that here. But why are we going to do that here? Anybody tell me? Joe?
Because when the letter's on the right side.
Yeah, we remember we want letter, sign, number. I have letter on the right. Somebody tell me what my new inequality is going to be. Joe?
Wouldn't it be x divided by 2
X over 2 or X divided by 2, yeah.
is greater than 5?
No.
No, less than 5. No.
It'll be greater.
It'll be greater.
See, it's opening, it's
Yeah.
eating the X over 2. So when I flip it, it's still going to eat the X over 2. And then over here is going to be what number?
5.
Now, am I going to, someone talking about raising their hand, in this inequality, am I going to multiply or am I going to divide? I want to multiply, Sydney, why do you say that?
Because you're dividing right now.
Yeah, it's just division, right? So tell me what to divide by. I'm sorry, multiply by, I'm sorry. Multiply by 2, right, because that's on the bottom. So times 2 over here. Sydney, where else do I times by 2?
5.
The 5, perfect. Times by 2 on this side. X squared.
X is less than 10.
X, careful with your sign. Careful with how you write your sign.
Greater than 10 is X over.
Greater than.
What?
Alright, so X is greater than 10. Again, why we did this? We want to get the X by itself, but this is going to cancel it out, and then 5 times 2 is 10. Do I need to flip my sign there? I know I had to pancake it at the beginning, but did I have to flip the inequality sign only?
No,
How come?
because you didn't.
Yeah, we're multiplying by a positive, not a negative. Alright? We'll graph it. Let's do 11, 10, 9. What do I do? Sophia?
Open circle on 10.
Open at 10.
Pointing to the right.
Arrow to the right. No line underneath. That tells me it's going to be leave it open. Alright? And then my arrowhead pointing to the right. I want to make sure my line goes to the right. Alright? Watch you step there, Will. It gets you every time.
What?
He almost tripped on him. Think, I don't know, Vanda tried to trip me or something.
No, my phone was like over here.
I'm just kidding, right? I already sent on the floor. Everybody, so is everybody good with 2A?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not?
No? Yes? No? Yes? Yes.
Why not? Same.
Alright.
I mean, no one's good.
Alright. So we got another one with a fraction. So, Mackenzie, when I have a fraction, just like I had in 2A, right? I had a fraction in 2A. Do you agree? I have a fraction down here. What operation do I need to use? Excellent. Very good. I'm going to multiply. Just on the left-hand side, Mackenzie? On both sides, right? Very good, because that keeps it balanced. Anybody think they may know? How about Mr. Fairbanks? What am I going to multiply by?
12.
Nope. 12 is going to get multiplied by something. I need to know. Tom? I mean, ooh. Yeah, very bad, very bad. No, he has an older brother named Tommy. Connor, you think you know?
3 over -2.
Because he flipped it.
Buddy,
Flipped it like a very.
wow.
Wouldn't it be?
Very impressive today.
Wouldn't it be
He's on
negative?
point today. -3 over 2. As long as we know, as long as that, like Connor said, 3 over -2, that's okay too. As long as you don't forget the negative, that's fine. What else do I multiply by that, Connor?
By the 12.
I'm tired! This guy is on fire.
Okay, cool. So, on this left-hand side, Ginny, on this left-hand side, what's gonna happen? What's gonna be left?
The 12,
Over here.
the X.
The X, right? That's why I did all this work, so I could just get X. Now, how about my sign? Leave it the same? How many people say leave it the same? Leave it as greater than? How many people say leave it as greater than? Anybody greater than out there? Nobody. Alright, so that means we're gonna flip it?
Well,
What's it gonna be?
We're gonna change
less than.
Less than.
Or equal to.
Or equal to.
different way.
Did I lose anybody there?
No.
Yes.
Why did I flip it?
Well, if your head was up.
Why did I flip it?
Yeah, pay attention, sir.
Madison?
Because the fraction is negative.
Yeah, because the fraction, I multiply by a negative. There's my negative, there's my negative. No, do you see that?
Sort of.
So I multiply by, well, remember the rule we talked about earlier, when we multiply and divide by a negative, we gotta make sure we flip the sign.
Oh, yeah.
That's when we had the rule, and then it said if we had to write that in. That's the rule right there, we gotta flip it. Alright, now, on the other side, if you had a calculator, great, but we don't. Well, some of you might, but I could pull it up right now, but I don't wanna do that. Alright, so I'm doing a positive multiplied by a negative. What do I get?
A negative.
Negative, right? Very good. Now I'm just gonna multiply straight across, and I can simplify after that. 12 times 3?
Equals
36.
36. We're gonna pretend
West side. Oh my god.
that's like my imaginary
Why
1.
did it be?
1 times 2? 2.
It took so long for them to do that.
Negative 36 over 2. Can that be simplified? So it really means negative 36 divided by a positive 2. Negative divided by a positive?
Negative.
Negative.
You should
And what's it gonna be, Mallory?
Negative 18.
Negative 18.
For all the stuff we say, you probably should add it out our voices.
Negative 18. Negative 18 is my answer. I'll put it down here. I flip my sign, I'm good. So we did one with, we had to solve with, we did 2, we had to solve with division, 1 we had to flip. We did 2, we had to solve with multiplication, 1 we had to flip. Alright, so I'm gonna do I'll do negative 18, I'll do it slow, negative 19, negative 18, negative 17. Connor, open or closed?
Closed.
Good. How come?
Because there's a
Line underneath. Good job.
Didn't it? Wait.
What's the matter?
But when
What did I do wrong?
have to switch the sign back because you divided by a negative.
Huh?
I don't know.
No. Joe, that was just me simplifying this. That had nothing to do with that part. I know what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
That had nothing to do with that. He's thinking this, Mr. Hager. This part. That had nothing to do with it. All right. Fred, which way is my line gonna go? Left or right?
Left.
Because the arrow's pointing this way. Very good. All right. So like I said, we did two. We had to use division to solve. One we had to flip. Two we had to use multiplication. One we had to flip. Okay. Let's look at Mr. Hager do this one with you guys. Word problem. He's a word problem. Want me to do it?
Can I do it?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Can I do it?
Can I go to the bathroom?
You want to do it? Okay.
All right, what does it say? So it says you earn $9.50 an hour
Yep.
at a job.
Yep.
It says write an inequality that represents the number of hours you need to work to buy a camera that costs $247. Okay? So how do you figure out how much money you make? Like if you know how many hours you work, and you know how much money you make an hour, what do you do with those two things? Yep. Multiply. So like if you worked 2 hours, you would make $9.50 times 2. If you worked
$19.
If you work 6 hours, you would make $9.50 times 6. So what if you work X hours? How would you write that, Gemini?
It would be $9.50.
Yep. Times X. Okay, 950X, because X is what we don't know. Represent the number of hours. We don't know how many hours. But the amount of money that we need is how much for the camera?
$247.
So we could have $247 or what and be able to afford the camera? 247 or more.
So it would be less than or equal to. Yeah.
So this is our money,
Oh, no.
and we need our money to be how much?
Greater.
Greater than or equal to how much?
$247.
247.
There you go.
Now, we gotta keep in mind that this is about how many hours you work. Okay? We're gonna assume that they probably just round off to the nearest hour. So you don't work like 5.2 hours. You could work 5 hours,
5 hours and 20 minutes.
or you could, well, 0.2, that would be a,
0.2.
0.2 would be a fifth, so that'd be 12 minutes. Remember, hours are based on 60, not 100. So how do we solve that? How do we figure out how many hours we have to work? Xander?
Minus 950 on both sides.
What operation is this right here?
Oh, it's
Excuse me.
That's multiplication, so what's the opposite?
division.
Division.
So you're gonna divide 950 on both sides.
Divide by, Joe, what are we dividing by?
950.
950? Now, could we just do 9.5?
No. Yeah,
Just
you
don't
can.
get this.
Yeah, you could, but it's easier to add the 0.
Yeah, the 0 doesn't matter. Okay, we're only putting the 0 because it's money. If this was any other problem, we wouldn't put the 0. Anybody have a calculator? And
I had mine.
I have.
Oh, I have it.
Equals $25.97 an hour.
so
I can't
X
turn
is,
my arm.
hold on. Guys, I can't hear Xander. Joe, if you don't have a calculator right now, don't worry.
She took my.
That's okay. We'll get you
So I
that.
took it back.
What'd you get, Xander?
$25.97 an hour.
25 point.
I get 26.0.
You're not rounding up.
I have
Oh,
26.
I did this wrong.
You did 950 or do you put 9.5?
Yeah, same, they'll come out the same. So what do we get?
25.
All right, let's double check it. Seems like we have some different.
Hold up, I made an advanced calculator here.
You think that.
So we get 26.
Oh,
Yeah.
you rounded up, didn't you?
On this?
It's
no.
on the-
This brick here?
So what?
Hours.
So what does that mean? What is that? 26 what?
$1.
Hours.
Oh, hours. I'm doing them all today.
Hours.
I didn't put the decimal in there.
I said $1.
Okay, so you have to work 26 hours or more, and then
Yeah.
you'll have enough money.
Yeah.
What if
Not
you
that
work,
bad.
what if you work exactly 26
Then
hours?
you'd have enough money.
You have exactly enough money without, how much would you have left over?
0.
0. So, what, Joe, what did you just say? You have to also account for?
Tax.
Tax. So if you buy this, maybe the price on it is
Well,
240.
depends where you got it from. New Hampshire.
What's up, Fred? So if you buy it, maybe the cost is 247, but you still have to pay for tax, so you might need a little extra. It depends on where you buy it.
For working all those hours, you get 246 point, right?
Wait, what?
You get 1 cent less.
All right, so a couple reminders before we have you guys try the extra practice. Okay, reference sheet. Okay, in about 15 minutes, we'll give you some time to print it. If you can print it at home, and you don't want to print it now, it's fine.
I'd
But
rather do it now.
we're giving you a chance in case your printer doesn't work or you're out of ink or whatever.
I have full printer.
Okay,
No, I don't know. I have.
reference sheet. Reference sheet. You can use the reference sheet on the test.
We can't for this test?
Yep.
I don't care.
Wait,
Test.
should I go to the bathroom?
Test tomorrow. It's on 2.1 through 2.3. Okay. Last thing we're gonna have you guys do is try some extra examples. If you finish them, we'll let you print it out early and give you the homework.